There was a constant low current of excitement for me on that trip. It was many years before I put a name to that feeling, and I believe it was the exhilaration of discovery. Some days later, one of the staff at the hotel asked if Susie Q and I wanted to take a boat ride to an outer island to go snorkeling. Neither of us had snorkeled before, but we both agreed to go. Although I was a strong swimmer, I was anxious about snorkeling, never having been taught how to do it. I wondered about Lucy Q. She was not on the swimming team, as I was, and her pale body in that loose bikini looked thoroughly inadequate for the task. Perhaps there would be another incident. There would be a drowning, and we must return home and tell the benighted mother that her daughter was dead too. But something curious happened on that snorkeling trip, a delicate shift that had the impact of a proverbial epiphany. Lucy Q and I donned the mask and fins and spilled into the sea, kicking in the direction the native guide pointed. The waters were of bluer blues than had previously existed in my world, and the light flickered through them, dancing without rhythm. There was entirely another world beneath those bluest waters, a parallel universe, a place of such great beauty that my mind reeled. I looked over and saw Lucy Q, her eyes magnified comically behind the mask. I could see that she was smiling. The reef sprouted in strange colors and unlikely shapes that made me laugh and suck water into my snorkel, and the fish in their outlandishly loud costumes seemed unafraid of us, the clumsy observers. When we approached, they spun around with choreographed precision. Lucy Q and I would raise our heads above the water to shout at one another about what we were seeing, and on one such occasion we saw our guide gesturing for us to swim into a cave with him. Once in the cave, he told us to swim to the back, where we could dive underwater through a tunnel and into another cave. It was pitch dark in the tunnel. It was pitch dark in the tunnel, our guide said. He would go first and pull us through by our hair. I felt my heart quicken. But both Lucy Q and I were so intoxicated by what we had seen that day, there was no turning back. There was a moment of panic when I swam into nothingness and felt a hand grab my hair. My skull smashed on rock and I felt an urgent desire to pull back, but was pulled upwards suddenly into a glorious cathedral of light and spectral rock and spectral light. And then Lucy Q surfaced beside me and I heard her shout, and it was a shout of amazement and triumph. Looking later at Lucy Q's sunburnt face and listening to her chatter on for the first time, I knew why my mother had brought her to this place. On this tiny island, no one but us knew her misfortune. She had escaped her own context. She was here to understand that she was not inextricably tied to her tragedy. She had the rest of her life at her own disposal, and she had the option to fill it with adventure and elation. Because of that trip, I learned early on the curative power of travel, and ever since then I have lived with a reverent appreciation